Welcome, 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 everybody. Okay, today I wanted to talk to you about creating wealth through business and how it's the most wonderful vehicle for creating wealth. But a lot of entrepreneurs do not know the gift that they have in front of them to create long-lasting legacy wealth for themselves and their families. Generational wealth in some cases, right? That's the power of having a business. That's why I love talking about business. That's why I love everything business and have more than one business. I also like to invest in other businesses because of the opportunity that it brings for creating wealth and for having the ability to create other income that doesn't require any effort from you personally as the owner to be involved in it, but to still receive a return from it, right? And the only thing that I regret is that I didn't know this from the very beginning of my business when I first set it up. I didn't have a clue, and so I wasted a lot of opportunity without knowing I was wasting opportunity, because I was creating a lot of revenue, great revenue, but I decided to spend it on fun things, which is awesome. I don't regret spending it on fun things and the experiences that I had and everything, but I certainly would have done it differently. I would have put a percentage of it from the very beginning towards reinvesting into something else. Had I have known what I know now, okay, and that would have had a massive impact, because it took me 10 years of running my business to come across this and finally work it out. I would be in a different position today. So the earlier you learn this, the better. And I'm going to talk to you about how we can identify it easily and what things we sort of need to work on in order to give us more opportunities in that area. Okay. But before I begin, I just want to remind everyone that on the 29th of July, I'm running a really fantastic program in here, in the Facebook group. It will be live. It will be recorded. It will be on Zoom as well. So if you wanted to come into Zoom, there'll be more interaction on Zoom if you come in there. And we're talking about how sales conversions and how to increase. If you sell by conversation, so a strategy call, a sales call, whatever you want to call it, one-on-one, then this is for you. And it's just another way to identify that there's 4 different languages we need to speak, because people buy in 4 different ways. And we normally sell in the way we like to be sold to, which means 75%, if that's 25%, which it is, then 75% of opportunities we leave on the table simply because we haven't used the right language with those calls. Okay, so 29 July, 9:30 a.m. Come here. If you like the invitation, just put invite in the comments and we'll make sure we get that to you. Okay. All right. That's all I'm going to say about that. So back to creating wealth. Okay. How do we know when, as a business owner, when we can start investing in other things so that we can build this passive income and wealth creation and have multiple streams and multiple teams of people creating that income for us? How do we do that? How do we know when is the right time to do it? Well, we need to know what level of wealth we're at ourselves, first of all. Everything in entrepreneurship, for it to be really successful, The first rule is know thyself. That's why we have a profiling tool, so that you absolutely nail where your genius zone is. That's why we have a business health checklist and all these other checklists that we have, is to identify more about us and the way we see the world, the perspective we have on our business, the perspective we're coming from, okay, and therefore identify the blind spots that we have, because there are many blind spots. And if we can't see what we can't see, we can't have a business that's running fully functionally. It will either be bleeding or limping because of what we can't see. So the most important thing to learn, in my opinion, is what all those perspectives of business are, what we need to be working on that's outside of our vision, and who we need to be working with to help us where we need to put these on so we can see clearly, right? We need to work all of that out before we even begin, preferably. But unfortunately, what's happened is people don't know this, and they come across me and they find out about it, and then we've got to go back and we've got to make changes in the business, just tweaks, but still we've got to go back, we've got to review, we've got to go over what we've already done. If you get this knowledge way back at the startup, your business will fly so much faster and be set up with no regrets with this knowledge in place. And that's what I do. I put those glasses on with the 4 lenses so you can see what you've got to do 4 different ways. You can see who you need to do it with, right? So your suppliers, your network, your partners, your clients, you know, who are the best people to be your clients. The way you do your marketing, the way you do your sales, right? And then also when you implement everything, when's the best time to implement projects that deliver your strategies, and then how are we going to deliver them? So what are the systems that you need in place, and which systems are we going to use to make sure we deliver all of that? Okay, really, really, really important. Now, most people, especially coaches, seems to be coaches that do this, will focus on sales, not even marketing. They focus on sales first of all. And it's very dangerous because there's no big plan. There might be a weekly plan, but there's no overarching long-term plan. And that's extremely dangerous because you don't know where you are, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there. Right? And it's not sexy. It's not sexy to talk about that and making sure you've got clear direction. And it's the same for creating your wealth. You need to know where you are on the wealth map. You need to know where you are now, and you need to know what to put in place in order to move the needle so that you're not staying at the level of wealth that you are on now. Right? And that's what this session is about. So in the Roadmap to Millions Bootcamp, we cover in detail something called the ladder of wealth. And if you visualize a ladder, there's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and you've got to do step 1 before you do step 2. You've got to do step 2 before you do step 3, right? And it's almost like a rite of passage. The thing is, without knowing this, without this being in your face, then you don't know how to increase your wealth and increase your momentum and move the needle, because you don't know what the next step on the ladder of wealth is, and you don't know what to do to move the business forward to attain it. Because our personal wealth and our business wealth are interlinked. Whatever is happening in your personal wealth will be showing up in your business. Whatever is happening in your business will be showing up in your personal wealth. It's a direct correlation. Okay? So if we can sort this out early, the earlier the better, then we know what's coming and we know what the whole ladder looks like, and we can choose which step on the ladder we want to operate at. Which step on the ladder is our goal? And then we need to know what we need to put in place in order to achieve it. Okay? Otherwise, what happens when you're running unconsciously, so you don't know what you don't know in this area, you get really frustrated because no matter what you do, you can't break the glass ceiling of the next level because you've got a blindfold on. It's like running your business with a blindfold, and that's what running a business is like too without a business plan. You're trying to run a business with a blindfold on. How's that going to go for you? Not so great. And it's the same with building your wealth. If you can't see what's on that ladder, how are you going to know where you are now? Well, you might know where you are now. Because if you know, if you're on the lowest steps of the ladder, you're not going to be making enough money in the month to pay your bills. So you know you're on the low steps of the ladder, right? It's painful. But if you want to get up to those higher steps, it starts becoming easier and easier and easier and easier. And you have more and more disposable income to invest. There's two things we can do with money. We can spend it, which means it's gone. We've got something for the return of it, absolutely. So we've got that fancy car, whatever it might be, or we've got that piece of clothing that we had to have with a certain logo on it, paid a fortune for, right? We've received it, great, and we can wear it, that's awesome, but it depreciates in value. Okay? Well, some brands, we could argue, don't depreciate, they actually appreciate. But generally speaking, they are going to depreciate the more wear and tear they have. They'll definitely depreciate, okay? And so they're not going to be worth tomorrow what we paid for them today. That's spending money. Investing money is the opposite to that. So yes, we are going to receive something back, but we are going to receive a return on our investment back. ROI, you may have heard that term, right? So that means that the money we've put up is going to come back to us, hopefully tenfold, hundredfold. Okay, I invested in some Bitcoin in a very long time ago. I think it was 2011, something like that. Well, wow, that certainly, I've still got them, that certainly has had a wonderful return on investment for my money, right? That's what we're talking about. There are courses that I've done with mentors, and I've learned their strategies, and I was able to put their strategies into my business and turn their strategies into money for me. So that was a return on investment. Okay, so anything that gives you a return is money invested. It comes back to you, it's money invested. If it goes out from you and away and you never see it again, that's money spent. So what we want to do is make sure we've got some money that we can invest so that we build our money and our wealth even more. And that's what I'm talking about today. So the 7 steps on the ladder to wealth are the following, right? The first step on the ladder of wealth is business planning. That's the first step. So where do you want to go? Where are you now? Where do you want to go? How are you going to get there? That is what the business plan works out. What's your revenue going to be annually? for the business, what is that going to work out to be monthly? Everything will drive that. Okay, so what we've got to do every month to create that income, that's what you're going to do every month. But if you haven't even worked that out, how can you create what you need to create in order to have that happen? Okay. And so often on this step of the ladder, so the business hasn't started. The business plan's supposed to be done before you even start the business. I know a lot of entrepreneurs still don't have a business plan, and they might have been operating for 10 years and they still don't have one. Okay, I know that, I get that. But let's assume that we did it at the right time before we even began. We could be in our financial world in still a lot of pain at that point because we haven't even started to make an income yet. It's an idea on a piece of paper, right? We have an idea of what we're going to do, but at least we've planned it out. So we may not be making enough money to pay our bills. This is what we call victim mode. And I don't even say that this is, you're not even on the ladder yet. You're standing at the base of the ladder ready to take your first step. Okay? You're in minus. You're not making enough. So every month you get further and further into debt. This is where people use a lot of credit cards to pay their bills and take years and years, if ever, to pay that credit card down and pay it off. Okay, the next step is we've just got enough money to pay the bills. This is called survivor mode. So, but at least it's a little bit of a breather. Like we know we're not going to get further into debt. Hallelujah. So this is step 2. And this is where we measure and manage our alignment in the business. So we're very clear on our personal financial goals and what we've got to do. We've got monthly forecasts happening. Sales are now happening in the business. That might not be heaps, but we've at least replaced the income we used to have from a job. All right. Now we've got a job, but we're the boss. Awesome. That's step 2. Step 3, we're earning a living. We're a worker. We've got to show up. So in the business, we adding personal alignment. We connect our passion and our purpose with the mission statement and the values and the standards, and we're connecting with people and opportunities. Okay. So now you can not only pay your bills, but you've also got a little bit left over. What do I want you to do with that little bit left over? This is step 3 on the ladder. I want you to start putting that money aside to invest. All right. So we can start doing some investments that will give us a return on our investment. Now, if you wanted to do that, let's say like you've got a building, you've got to rent a building, you've got to rent a space, you've got a bricks and mortar business. Or one day that might be that you want to be able to purchase your own building so you're not paying rent. At the moment, with the way the economy is, you probably wouldn't want to invest in a commercial building right now. But let's just say everything is good, everything is dandy. That might be one of the things you want to do. Or you might want to buy property that you rent out in the name of the business. Okay. I'm not giving financial advice here, guys. I'm not a financial planner, and this is not financial advice. And don't do any of this without financial advice. Okay, because everyone's individual circumstance is different to everyone else's. So of course you're going to get that advice first. But even if you put a percentage of that extra money, right, into investing for the future, that would be a great step. That would be a good thing to do. Can't hurt. There's no way can it hurt. All right. Then step 4. You're making your own money. You're now what I would call a player. So if you think about us in an orchestra or a band, you've still got to turn up every day, and you still got to play your instrument, but you're only playing one instrument. You're focusing on your genius zone because you've got, maybe some other players in the band with you that you can share the load with. All right. Not a massive band, it's a small band, and they're only paid when they turn up. They're on contract. Excuse me, I'm just going to take a drink. Okay. But at least you've got people in the band with you. So this is where you start turning your time into money and tap into markets through attraction and reputation. So your sales are increasing now. You're on step 4. It's looking pretty good, but you still got to show up. Okay, the money, if you don't show up, the money stops. You've got to be there. You're not the only one there, but you still got to turn up every day. Okay, and then step 5, and I really, loved it when I got to step 5. Still remember, this is when you're the performer. So you've built a team around you, so you don't have to turn up every day. You still got to turn up, but not every day. You can take some time out. You can have a holiday, and the business still runs without you. However, the business still needs you in some capacity to do your bit. So you might be traveling, and you might have your laptop with you, and you're still going to have to do some stuff to help the business along while you're on holidays. Okay. So you still got that, that's still happening. You might be managing your team at this point. You're the manager of the team, right? So, but you can take some time out. I think when I was here, I was taking every Friday off. I think I remember. And I've talked about before how guilty I felt about doing that. I had that was a real whole other thing, giving myself permission not to be there. And not setting the example, of working really hard. We've got to get over that, okay? And then step 6 is conducting multiple streams of income with multiple teams. So this is when you're now the conductor. So you have stepped out of the business, right? This is where I'm at now. I'm the conductor. Well, I'm the conductor in one of the businesses, and I've started a startup, and this is my startup, and I'm heavily involved again. I'm starting from the bottom, going up again, but at least I know what to do, when to do it, how to do it, right? Whereas the other business doesn't need me in it anymore. So I turn up for a meeting once a week, and I'm done. I don't need to do anything else. I can play with other businesses. I do executive coaching for another business that I'm involved with and I'm shareholder of. So there's various forms that these other interests take on now, but they're giving a return on investment. And my trade college is the biggest investment I have. It's awesome. I do one meeting a week and I'm done with my CEO, right? And it gives me a lifestyle that I don't even have to think about money anymore. I no longer have to check the bank accounts. I remember when I first started that business, sometimes I didn't know how I was going to put petrol in the car, to go to the meetings that I had to go to, or to go to the training that I had to give, and turn up at my client's place. I didn't know how I was going to get petrol in the car. I've been there, guys. I've done it. I know the pain and the worry and the anxiety that can create, because I was there. And not only that, I was going through divorce. I had 2 little kids, and I was studying at university all at the same time. Woohoo! So I was in a lot of pain, right? And I had to, you do what you've got to do, and you're working 80 hours a week and wondering, why did you choose to have a business? It would have been a lot easier just to have a job. Anyone relate to that? I've been there. I know how that feels. But it doesn't have to last forever. And when you've got a roadmap to follow, you know what you've got to do next. You know what to work on next, and you know how to move that needle to get you out of that pain as quickly as possible, because you don't want to stay there, because that's when you start thinking about giving up. And to me, giving up is going and getting a job, right? So just, and I mean, that's worst case scenario. If everything goes to hell in your business, the worst case scenario thing is you go and get a job, work for someone else. So to me, the risk of that, having a business and not having a business, you know, if you can go and get a job tomorrow, you wouldn't worry about it. It's not a risk, in other words, because in a couple of weeks, you can have income coming in anyway through a job. So, and then the final step on the ladder, which I don't choose to do, I will never choose to do it. It's not me, it's not for me, but it might be for you. And that's when you become a legend. And step 7, that's when you really lead the market. So you become the market leader and you're leaving a legacy for others to follow. But I'm talking about this is the likes of Bill Gates, this is the likes of Elon Musk. You know, they've built empires. I'm not interested in building empires. Too many hassles, too many problems, I just don't want to do that, right? And I'm happy with my multiple teams and multiple streams. So that's why I wanted to talk to you about this today. I just wanted you to get an idea of what the ladder looks like. And when you come into the Roadmap for Millions Bootcamp, we unpack this in much more detail, and also understanding your profile and understanding the ladder. There's 8 different ways of creating wealth on the ladder of wealth. And there's 8 different strategies, because we're not all the same. People are not all the same. Would you agree? We're not all the same. So our strategies need to be different, because some strategies are going to suit some people and other strategies are going to suit others. And that's another thing that's like a secret, like that's another blindfold that's on everyone. We try to make everyone fit one way, and we're not built like that. We're very much individuals. We very much do things differently. Thank goodness, because if we all did everything the same, what a boring world we would live in, right? And what a boring business. We'd all have the same business. And there'd be a whole lot of things that are not being done in the world that are being done because we're all different. Does that make sense? So it makes sense that we need to have different strategies for creating wealth. We need to have different strategies for creating our business. We need to have different strategies when we recruit people. We need to know who are the best people to recruit for what tasks that they're doing. And all of this is blind for most people. And imagine if we could put the 4 lenses on everyone, and they really get it, really got it, and really understood their playbook for success. What a different world that would be, huh? Everyone would be working the best way they possibly could. Everyone would be excelling effortlessly. Easy. Ease and grace. And that's what I want for everybody. If you liked a little bit of what I went through today with the ladder of wealth, just put ladder in the comments below and I'll get a document to you which walks you through it in a little bit more detail about each step of the ladder and what's involved. It'll give you a clue at least of what you can put down in your goals, right? Where you want to be on that ladder. And you can only go one step at a time. That's the caveat. You can't move from step 1 to step 7 in one move. Won't work. That's what happens when people win lotto. Okay, the lottery. They're usually in debt. People often, not always, but often, people who buy lottery tickets buy them because they don't make enough money to pay their bills. and they hope to get a windfall so that they can pay their bills, right? And so if they do happen to win and they win a lot of money, they don't know how to manage it. They don't know how to handle it. And so often within 2 years, they're broke again. Okay, so this is a rite of passage. You have to learn how to manage money. You have to honor money for it to stay with you. You have to value money for it to stay with you. And that brings in a whole lot of other things that happens as well, where we self-sabotage, do all sorts of things because of the way we were brought up and the things that happened as a child and the things that happened to our parents and things we observed. We can have a really bad relationship with money or a really good relationship with money. Our relationship with money also ties into this. Because if we've got a bad relationship with money, because of our background, because of our history, we keep trying to get rid of it. Because we don't deserve it. Like there's a whole lot of underlying issues with all of that. I don't focus on that, but other beautiful consultants and coaches do. So if that's a bit of a concern for you, I encourage you to seek someone who can really help you with that. Because if you don't fix that, you're going to keep trying to sabotage yourself anyway. But at least being aware of that, you can start to do something about it too. But that also plays into the level of wealth that we allow ourselves to create. All I want you to do is to be in a power position to choose it. That's it. I believe that business is here. The vehicle we call a business is here so that we can have many choices. That's it. We can have many choices. We can choose it for a lifestyle. We can choose it to build a legacy. We can choose it to have more freedom of time. Eventually. You won't have that in the very beginning, not normally anyway. Okay, so I encourage you, if you want to learn more about Ladder of Wealth, put ladder down the bottom. If you'd like to come to this special event that I'm hosting, which is free by the way, around sales conversions on sales calls, then put sales in the comments below and we'll make sure you get invite in the comments below, and we'll make sure you get the invitation to come along and join the Zoom, because the Zoom will be more fun. Just saying, might be a little surprise for the people on Zoom, never know. All right, so yeah, I encourage you to do that as well. It's going to be exciting, and again, it's going to take away a lot the blindfold that you've got on about conversion and how you need to present your sales 4 different ways. Okay. All right, everyone. Thanks again. Have a great week, and I'll see you again same time next week for Taking Care of Business. Bye.